There is nothing inside of you that wants stagnation. You want your mountain, you want to climb it. And if you are as competitive as me for the things I want out of my life I already have them, but I want them to blossom further. They're not going to look like your things. Like a lot of people are like, dude, we want the same stuff. And I'd be like, no, you wouldn't. If you were in my shoes, what would you do? And they'd be like, oh, Zherka, I would live stream or I would vlog. Like, okay, clearly we don't want the same things, you know? I'd rather have money and focus on my craft. I would really love, if it was a speed operation, that would be awesome where you can't get banned. The platforms are meeting you. You know, they're not snaking you. You don't have to worry about getting banned and all this stupid shit. That would be a different thing. But even that would get played out for like a grown ass man with hair on his ass. Like, bro, some of you guys, that's why I tell you guys to make your dreams come true fast so you're not older guys live streaming. You know, there's a lot of you guys who are going to be doing your live streaming shit around 28 and you're going to start doing really well. And you're going to come to me for advice and I'm going to be like, dude, this is like a 25-year-old man's game. Maximum. You know, really, you see the top guys will be 18 and stuff. And then if you've watched Aiden Ross in the last 3 years, you're probably a loser. But if you watch him in 2022, you're probably having fun with your friends, learning about live streaming. Like your thinking was alive. Everything was creative. You know, it gets played, you know, as soon as Aiden passed the age of like 21, he got really hard to watch. It's like he's got too much hair on his face. Just weird, right? Especially that kind of streaming thing. And if you don't understand what I'm saying is like peaking early is a beautiful thing. Peaking early is a beautiful thing because most of the fun you're going to have in your life is not from the emotional intensity of being at the top. And I know it's so rare. It's like 0.00001% of the population that's going to be a global household name. And so it sounds like I'm talking just for that person, but I'm not. Whatever your little niche is, I'm talking about that too, right? And I really think down to my core, changing one person's life, hearing this feels better than changing 1,000 lives, but just a little bit, you know, like just seeing some dude enter his stardom, just explode into the scene is more beautiful than anything. And it's everlasting life forces. Like you don't realize this because a lot of you guys who listen to me are younger, but you don't keep renewing your life sources through relationships and mastery of work. And when you're older, you're going to renew your life sources by helping people. That's just what older people do. That's why a lot of more mature careers are always consultation or helping someone in some kind of way, right? And these, I don't care. Don't look at money first. Let's look at fulfillment in their eyes. These are the most fulfilled kind of souls, right? And I'm saying it as a selfish thing too. It's not just like a Jesus message. I'm saying that you gain so much life forces from helping people. You sound more confident. You feel better. You're more energized. And then boom, you put it all into a book and make $52 million. But it's not you who made it. It's everyone you helped. All their life forces entering you over 10 years. And then you go, man, how the fuck did that happen? And it happens to a bunch of people, man. People don't hang out with me because they think I'm a genius. People hang out with me because I'm alive. You know how little humans on earth are actually alive? Talk about successful men. Like how many successful people do you know that you cannot even have a coffee with them because you're like, it's kind of boring, man. You're not alive. You clearly turned into a calculation machine. You're making money, but something's gone. There's no light behind your eyes. You look like the Zherka profile picture. You look fucked up, you know? I don't know how much I can trust a calculator. Like, where's the humanity? Right? And it's strange because everything online, everything that's trying to sell you shit, everything that's trying to even give you free advice so you respect them more, you know how people are like that? Everything is about, here, I have something intellectual. I'm going to take you to an intellectual space so you can learn something. And it's like, humans don't want to learn things for the sake of learning things. It's about replenishing life forces. That's why, you know, any new student I have, they go, I think the greatest thing ever was joining Zherka and he told me to unfollow everyone. So I did. I even unfollowed Zherka because he can post a lot of Dragon Ball and distractions and all that. And everything started fixing my life. It took a couple of weeks, but everything started. Why? Because once you start seeing thought forms, the world of thoughts that these things can push into you, it's not you pushing out thought. You can get distracted with a Dragon Ball video for 5 hours, even if you're not into Dragon Ball. Did you know that? Like, don't think of how Zherka thinks. Think of how an average person thinks. An average person will I swear to God, they do this. They can turn the TV on and go, oh, something interesting is on. But they never selected for it. So they just see Gordon Ramsay. They didn't say, I want to watch Gordon Ramsay. They're just unconsciously turning the TV on and going, wow, something interesting's on. It's not interesting if it captures your attention. It's interesting if it comes from your inner soul. Meaning, Zherka gets up, he's not choosing entertainment, he's talking about Steiner. That's really difficult and dry for a lot of people. I hate to use those words because eventually you'll get to a point where that's all you want. I hate to, I've seen some intellectuals call it dry, like really dense literature. And I'm so against that right now, but let's be fair. At 21, I was like, man, fuck this shit. Let's go to the good stuff. Let's manipulate people. Let's get what I want, but let's avoid all the dense shit as much as we can, at least, which is the complete wrong approach, because that's not how the mind works. The mind is made to struggle with dense material over and over again, and then you come back to it later, maybe months later, sometimes years later, and it all locks in. But that's the thing, is like, a lot of people are like, oh, this material is just not for me. The fuck do you mean it's not for you? You look at any master in any field, their material wasn't for them either, right? But they eventually, through that friction, they get to a place where they go, holy shit, the clout, the money, I don't have to work. It's been years. I'm chilling. I am chilling, but I'm not chilling because I'm getting paid for the friction, even if it's not my job, right? Nobody told me to do that job. It's inner. It comes from the inside. You fucking turn the TV on. You go, oh wow, this is so interesting. This is some Gordon Ramsay shit. And it's like, dude, you didn't choose it. You're not actually interested in the Gordo show, bro. And you just have nothing to do. You're a fucking, who are you? Are you Sneeko? Are you one of Sneeko's dick riders? Which is like, dude, if you think dick riding gets you anywhere in the world, ask yourself why look at Zherka getting platformed by Aiden 500 times and heel Mike 0. But Zherka's calling Aiden a little fucking Jew to his face and humiliating, going out with this girl, just evil shit. But why am I getting platformed? Like, you gotta ask yourself, it's not, and heel Mike is avoiding insulting the guy on stream, but they just, the group hated him. They couldn't hate me because they're like, okay, this guy he's bringing something. Let's platform him. Let's try and destroy him, but let's keep platforming him. And who eventually wins from that? Me. And, shout out to them because they eventually unbanned me 4 times almost. I think 4. I don't remember, bro. It's a blur. But why the fuck would someone respecting Aiden not get any platform time? Mike got 0 clout out of that whole saga. I had to pull him on, which is crazy because it's like he was the respectful one. But you got to ask yourself, is dick riding, what does dick riding mean? It doesn't mean that you don't have talent. You're just making a huge fool of yourself. Because imagine going live, dick riding Sneeko, trying to signal to the world, they're like, yo, this is my guy. And it's like, dude, look at your analytics. It's not doing that much for you, bro. Like, you kind of look pathetic. Like, if your tongue is going to be up Sneeko's ass, show the analytics. Show, at least, have that kind of thing where you go, hey, my game plan's working. Yeah, here's the truth. Let's say you build yourself dick riding some dude, right? Brown tongue and all that. By the time you're done getting to, let's say, your 100,000 followers of dick riding, by the time you're done that, not only is all the top comments, who usually they're wrong, but in this case, are they wrong? It's like they're going to be saying that you're like the Mike Malek of the, you're kind of just that guy next to him. Not only are they going to say you're a suck up and all that, but really you're going to feel it inwardly. After you spend a year of sucking up to another human being, you've changed your soul so much, your soul structure, that it is impossible for you to fix it because it'll take a year to reverse all that. And I don't mean reverse like you're going backwards. I mean, you'll become a new thing. You won't go back. You'll become a third thing. So you'll be you and your talent plus the sucking up plus the third thing that comes out of it, which is so counterintuitive to what you want to do. Like if I could build a young man's confidence for 5 years and he gets 0 followers, 0 money, but I'm still building his courage. One day he gets platform and he pops the fuck off and he doesn't need me anymore. It only takes once to pop off. I know a lot of you guys message me like, I don't believe when you say this because everyone pops off and their name just fades and they don't get to do the retirement plan like Zherka. And it's like, dude, you're pointing to examples that popped off. I'm not talking about popping off over a joke or a meme or sucking up to a friend or being a camera guy. I'm talking about popping off through individuation where people point their finger and they go, what is wrong with him? What is wrong with that guy? Wait a minute. Actually, in a weird way, he's so weird. It's kind of relatable. And if it's not, I respect that he is doubling down on his weirdness. It's almost like that man has nowhere to run anymore. He's got nowhere to run. He said, you know what? There's no mask in the world that fits my face. Let's use my real face. And people love that shit. Even if a human can only be real, what do we clock him? We clock humans for being real for like what? 10 minutes? Dude, 10 minutes on a live stream will skyrocket you. If you could be real for 10 minutes of your life, that's awesome, So some of the most real people we see, like rappers, they're snitches. They snitch to the police. It's not really the realness you were looking for, right? And a lot of people are afraid to be real without talent. Dude, talent grows in realness. Like think about a little kid working on his archery all day, right? His bow and arrow skills. That's him, his alone time, his realness over many years. And then eventually he's the greatest archer in the whole medieval village or whatever, right? So you guys don't realize that like the authentic part of you that's inside of you that keeps nudging you. I want to get out. I want to get out. I want to get out. But you don't want him out because he can actually get hurt in the world. Like he carries the HP. It's much worse to getting hurt inwardly than it is, getting a bruise on your face. Like a lot of people come to me. They're like, oh, I'm afraid to get punched in the face. And I'm like, no, you're not. You think you are until you get punched in the face. And then you go, that inward breakup pain I had, or that losing that job, or those pains are real. The physical stuff isn't I swear to God, you could get the biggest pussy on earth. It's an illusion that the external world is going to hurt you if they punch you in the face. It's an illusion that hurts. What really hurts is failure. Bro, failure hurts so much because it always whispers the same story. It says, you're not going to get this until you can stand on your own 2 feet and fail with an upright spine. If you can fail with confidence, you can go to the next level. But what human can fail with confidence? Not even the top of the top. Look at the top athletes when they fail. Bro, it burns them alive the most and they transmute the fire. You know how hard it is? For some people, it takes 10 years to transmute all the fire in them. For some rare individuals, it could take a year. For think of a hermetic philosopher or a really wise sage. Wise meaning they suffered the most. Right? Crystallized pain in the face. Cuts and scars and all that. Think of that sage. As soon as he feels the anger from losing what he's trying to do, he stands firm. And that's it. A lot of people are like, the hardest thing is to do this. No, the hardest thing is non-action. When you have to just keep standing and you're like, damn, I failed again. This time it took a financial hit. It took a network hit. It took a romantic hit. It took multiple hits at the same time. And I feel like I'm getting worse at this. And at that moment, you have to keep your spine straight and keep standing. That moment, your mom, your friends, whoever calls you, you cannot lash out at them. You have to have the conversation with them without being reactive, without saying, why the fuck are you calling me right now? And they're like, damn, what's wrong with you? And because all that inward fire is just fucking, it's burning you alive. And it's like, dude, blowtorch it, man. Keep it in the center, right in the middle of your heart. Keep it right there and stand straight and fail with honor. Fail with honor, because by the time you're 30 years old, you understand, oh, failing with honor is the next step. But in your 20s, you can keep repeating this message. Like, a lot of people are like, oh, Zherka, I tried that. It's like, no, you're not when I give you guys advice that I seriously emphasize, I'm actually telling you guys that you're gonna go through it thousands of times. Like, I'm not talking about a one-off scenario where you fail and you're like, oh, I stood there. I'm talking about the same failure for 1,000 times in a row. And it's gotta be done. It's gotta be that failure that makes you think, what if I'm not cut out for this? That's always the final thought of a loser, by the way. Before bed, before whatever. It's always, what if I'm not cut out for this? Or this person told me I'm not cut out for this. Or, like, think of a young, nerdy Zherka, and you go up to him, you go, yo, you have to be the ladies' man. Out of 8 billion people on earth, you have to do it. You can't be like Dan Bilzerian and pay the women, right? Which, I'm not calling him an ugly guy still, I still think they want to smash, I'm fair like that. But there's just the whole paying for it aspect is like, don't they get the lifestyle? Why are you paying them if they get the whole $2,000 a girl? That the idea that I'm getting milked after providing a heavenly environment, that's crazy to me. What? I would have reduced the number so fast just to keep my honor, just so none of them can come out on the news and say, well, he paid 40 of these girls 1,500 to 2,000 USD for the party that they come around to 8 p.m. and leave at whatever. And it's always the guy thinking, oh, she's going to get hooked. They can get hooked for a bit, but who gets hooked longer? Women are the reflective force in nature. Clearly, we gaze into them. We will get more addicted than they will to us. Like, let's call a spade, right? We're the outward. We're like we are the solar force in nature. But they are the moon. They're reflective. So when we gaze into them, we can lose ourselves in that. You're paying 2,000 a girl when you have a six pack. You're a good looking guy, and maybe you're 5'4" or whatever they're saying. Which, by the way, a lot of people are like, Zherka, do you actually hate short people? Yes. Anyone whose thoughts are more earthly, I find them kind of useless, because my whole, and I'm not saying everyone should think like me. I don't think it's possible. I couldn't even convince people to think like, even tall people I couldn't convince. But when my incarnation is all about spirit, right? Even the destructive faces are spiritual. Like, they're connected. Like, there's a reason why I'm choosing to destroy right now. When you find someone like me that's etherically so upward, right? I'm not talking about pure, but I focus so much on thinking. I'm not saying I'm a thinking type, It's like, I really am not saying that. I'm saying I'm focusing on it. But my ideas are otherworldly. And then you have someone like Dan Bilzerian who, like, imagine having a deep I only judge a human on their deep conversations or what they say when they don't speak, right? But just imagine his head. Like, any human that talks to me about Texas Hold'em and gambling, and a lot of you guys are like, dude, these gambling streamers want to be friends with you, Zherka. How come it's been years you haven't even hit them up? And it's like, dude, sitting in a room talking about gambling, I could never do that. You know how much money I've lost because I'm not into it? I'm 6'5". My thoughts don't go towards gambling, right? I don't have earthly thoughts like that. I think the strongest earthly desire I have, a lot of people would point and say, oh, yours is lust, yours is women. But if you saw the behind the scenes, you guys would be like, holy shit, he spent years alone. And I loved it. It was suffering, but I loved that kind of suffering because, we were doing, I guess it was COVID. We were doing other things. Like, I was focused on other things, but it wasn't like that compulsive sneako every weekend he needs to smash something. I've never had that compulsion. I force myself because it benefits me to have ladies around me, right? It benefits my incarnation. right? Yeah, but it's like, don't waste the Chad archetype. I've seen a lot of people do that, and it's kind of depressing when you see that guy in Walmart. Like, I just hate that. It's like me being tall and not playing ball. Like, all of you would be like, oh, Zherka, that's weird, bro. You can't be that tall and not play basketball. And I go, I know. It's horrible. It's actually horrible. It's like, and I grew up with black kids playing video games, those kind of black kids, right? And Dragon Ball and all that. I didn't grow up with right? And it's horrible. It's like, if you tell a tall guy, hey, if a tall guy says he doesn't play basketball, it's kind of like what the fuck are you on earth here for? Like, even just go play for fun at least, right? It's horrible, right? And you see that with anything, a good writer that doesn't write, that's all I could think of. If I meet a good writer and I go, man, this guy's tweets are hard, and he doesn't write, I go, whoa, you're a fucking, or for you guys like entertainers, Zherka, entertain me, you're so good at it and stuff. Bro, when people are not using their gifts, Dan Bilzerian, I don't have a beef because you're lying and calling Nick a fed. I mean, that's not where my beef started. I don't have a beef at all. It's more like the paying the women thing. I remember on my Twitch days, you guys would ask me, what do you think of the short guy, 5'4" Dan Bilzerian? And I'm like, I wouldn't have anything. What would I talk to him about? How could I be a fan? Right? I remember Jackson Hinkle. When I first platformed Jackson Hinkle, he had like 50 viewers. Right? I'm like, oh, this guy's going to be the real deal because he's going to pop off because just the interactions with Adriana and stuff was funny. So, but I remember going to his house in LA and he had Dan Bilzerian's book. And I'm like, he shows me, he's like, I bought Dan Bilzerian's book. And I remember thinking like, how do you guys, what is in this book that a political guy like you could, get into? I didn't even get it. It's like how, I went through like one page and I'm like, what the fuck is this shit? Right? And by the way, it's a book based on lies. When a human being lies this much about their own incarnation, they are deeply insecure. Dan Bilzerian tells the world, I don't care about any of the military lies or any of that. I don't care about none of that stuff. I care about, and I do care. I care enough to mention it right now, but I don't care as in, I don't need to put focus on all of his lies. This one lie is what really pisses me off. He somehow, and because he's effective with his lie, like he convinced enough people, it pisses me off even more. Because if he didn't get away with it, I'd be like, whatever. But he convinced a huge majority of his fan base that his rich dad didn't give him the money. Even after it was leaked that, we know the truth now. All of his success came from his father, who is like some kind of scammer or whatever. Which means it's in his blood to scam, by the way. My dad can't even throw bubble gum on the ground, and your dad can fucking embezzle money and do all this kind of crazy shit. It's like, when people tell me they have crook family, I'm like, bro, being a crook is in your blood. For me, it's an outlaw archetype that I need to do. I remember being a young kid, and I needed to individuate. I don't know why. I had an itching to individuate. Because I couldn't be a thief to be a thief. Like, if I stole something as an 18-year-old, 17-year-old kid when my desire body was strong, but it didn't focus on women. For some reason, it focused on anything to do with courage building. And where could you build the most courage? For some reason, my teenage brain said, and the trickster thing is funny too, but the most thrill I would get from being more kind of introverted, but to pop out of that introverted energy, because I knew that, life is horrible for introverts, let's be real. I knew I had to push out of it, and I didn't do drugs, I didn't do alcohol, I didn't do none of that, but I needed to push out of my shell somehow, and I didn't want to do the girl path. I didn't want to do any other path. The only path that made sense to me was against corporations and government and all the stuff that bothers me today. And for some reason it was, I'm going to start stealing this Lego box from a big Walmart or Toys R Us or whatever. And when the alarm goes, and I didn't, I like Lego, but not as much as my friends or whatever. So I would always give what I'm stealing to a buddy of mine, or my buddies would laugh that I would do it. They'd be, holy shit, he actually did it. And I would be covered in sweat. Like I did a line of Coke before Coke was even a thing, before I even knew what it was. And the alarm would go off and it was like beep, beep, beep. And it became a kleptomania kind of thing for me, where because I didn't want to individuate with girls like other teenagers with a job, with going to college, the only way I knew how to do, shit that builds courage was go to a big corporation and, you know, test my speed. I used to be a really fast kid, actually. Not for a long time, but yeah, I used to be pretty fast. And I still remember thinking to myself, like, wow, this is an introvert would never do. Like, if you pay an introvert money, he can't steal something from Walmart, right? So in my head, this was a big win, huge win. Like the first time the outlaw archetype said, good, Zherka, good, you're breaking out of the matrix. Soon you'll focus on girls, but we're starting with the outlaw that nobody can stop you. And it was strange because this is the first time in my life I was getting a huge rush from doing something extremely masculine. Like if you get caught, you go to jail or whatever happens. I don't know. You get humiliated, you know? But there was no thief in my blood. Like I never kept anything I stole. I'd always give it away. It was more for the rush, which, you know, if you don't believe me, how do you think that translated later with the drugs and the partying? It's always been for the rush. Like it's always been for the emotional intensity and stuff that's not skillful, but has to be done as a young man. For some reason, you tell a young man he goes his whole incarnation without emotional intensity. I don't think he even gets anywhere, you know, like when that demand comes, it's your turn. I'm not saying you go get locked up and go to prison. You know, like you look at black guys, they're shooting each other on the street because the outlaw archetype is just dominating them. They don't even have 20% control. It's horrific, right? By control, I mean, are you going to jail for what you're doing, right? Or are you getting chicks or are you getting a harassment charge? Like the guy more in control, let's say he's in 10, 20% control of his body and his thinking, you know, he's trying his best. That guy won't go to get the harassment charge, but everyone else will get, you know, if impulses are just ruling you, you will get that harassment charge. Your life will go to shit fast, right? Which is interesting because do you want the courage or not? Like, do you want to go talk to her or not? Do you want to say the thing or do you want to individuate or do you want to stay a child? You know, these are things that everyone battles. But it was so interesting to me that not only is nobody in my family lineage thief, like I had to break the curse. Like there's no thief in my family lineage. There's no thief in me. And I have to relate to someone like Dan Bilzerian, who is the opposite. He doesn't want the rush of running out of the store, running it with it on his hands. He actually wants to do it from his home office, scamming people or whatever. And he's not doing it for the rush because he has thief blood. He's the opposite of me. Like his dad, you know, if your dad is known for being a thief, I'm sorry, but that's huge. That's DNA. You know, I know this hurts some of you. Like, oh, my dad did this. Bro, if your dad is known for being a thief, chances are it runs in your blood. That's just how it works, right? You guys incarnated together for a reason. You guys are thief incarnations. I'm not saying you can't transform, but you know, it's very different. It's not like being repressed, not talking to girls. So you're, you know, beep, 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 running around, being a klepto and all that, I don't know if anyone else is like me, but has anyone repressed themselves to the point where they do everything in 1 year? Like you're so repressed that you go, you know what, 21 years old, not only am I going to break the law, but I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And I'm going to hurt my body. And I'm going to hurt that girl. I'm going to hurt everyone around me and I'm going to hurt myself. And you just get it all done in 1 year. And then the new character comes out and you're like, whoa, that was not smart. I could have gone to prison. Horrible things could have happened. And you realize you're like, oh shit, this is like it comes from a desperate place. But Dan Bilzerian, his incarnation is so interesting because none of his thievery comes from a desperate place. You know, he can't even go to jail. It's all under his father. It's like he's got when you think of a spoiled little bitch, I'm talking about like, dude, financially, not only did your dad give you $100 million and then you've lied about it and said you made it from poker, but you know, forget that lie. It's more like, dude, you can't go to jail if you wanted to. Like, imagine taking zero risk and just being rich from your dad. And I love that he hypercompensates with trying to be like a masculine guy and stuff like that. But the whole, you know, at first he got no attention from anyone, right? After his whole, you know, we got bored of the bitches on the Instagram, because it's not even funny. It's kind of like you're paying women to be around you, bro. That gets really stale. And it's not relatable at all. And they're not chasing you at all. Like it's a money thing. It's your incarnation looks like a joke, actually. It cannot get any faker than this. You know, this is like a fake incarnation. Not just because his dad is a fake person. And by the way, if you come from a scamming family, it's like those people in high school who used to steal out of people's lockers. I couldn't even imagine stealing from another human because humans have so many problems. Ever since 6 years old, I knew this. I couldn't imagine stealing from another human, even if they were rich. From a big corporation like Walmart, I really don't give a fuck. I'm not encouraging it, but I'm talking about like hurting someone, like you actively seek out to hurt them, or you phone call them and scam them or whatever the fuck, but you're harming someone. And then you think of that's what his dad did for a living and went down, he went down for this shit. When you think, it's kind of like, I love that movie Wolf of Wall Street, and I love Jordan Belfort just because when I see him, I can't hide it, When I see him, I'm like, whoa, what the hell? I've met him and it's crazy. But there's this gut feeling in my stomach where it's like, dude, Jordan, you're a scammer. I'm nothing like you. I could never do what you did. And I saw one guy comment on Twitter. He's like, this is some Jew scammer and stuff like that. I'm like, that's the posture we need in society where it shouldn't be cool to be a scammer or pay girls $1,500 to hang out with your, none of that should get likes. None of that. And we live in a crueler world that the people liking that kind of content usually they get depressed and almost kill themselves and it gets horrible for them, right? You can see everything about an incarnation by the shit they watch, It's like, think of humans who watch gambling streamers, right? Now, is that even, I'm gonna just say it, dude. I know this is really, really against this stuff I preach, but I'm gonna just say it, bro. Those are not even humans to me. Like, if you watch gambling streams, there's nothing about you. There's no thinking there. You're unconscious. There's no feeling there. There's no beauty in your life, and there's no adventure or will. Like you're literally not human. If those three are not a part of your life, you are not human to me. You are becoming something else. And if you're ever on anything trending, you're gay. You are gay as fuck. You shouldn't be excited for anything trending because you're telling the world, you're leaking, hey, I'm not individuated. I'm still with the crowd. I'm still with the masses. And here's the sweet spot is you have to be on the bandwagon of trending things if you want to make money in the world. If you want to be successful, you have to be a part of the world. But do it in a way where you don't look like a faggot. There's a reason why Zherka is still talking about a show from the when did it start? In the 1980s? Dragon Ball started? Or let's focus on Z. Let's focus on the 90s. Or really, for me, it's just the early 2000s, right? But I'm telling you guys right now, it's like, I don't step out of my lane to be a phony like you faggots. Okay? I don't watch the newest anime. I don't even know anything about anime. I know about what I like. But this whole, hey, it's trending, so I'm gonna watch it. It's like, holy shit, you don't know how much you're embarrassing yourself. Because when you go home, when it stops trending, what are you? You're just like a gray blob of a human being. Right? And by the way, you're on Earth to be more interesting, not less interesting. Okay? You don't realize that your inner matching your external, your outer is going to make you more interesting. And you always notice you're more interesting to yourself before your friends and family and all that, the people around you, right? Or you guys got to ask yourself why you incarnated in a timeline where you can like and dislike things. Is it just for fun? Where you have more of a say in what your soul does? Where you have more of effect on the world, your likes and dislikes, they really matter. That's why I try and curate people's timelines. I'm like, if your timeline could be just as soft and normal as possible. By normal, I mean peaceful, like inner peace. Some animal videos, some Dragon Ball, some just things that keep you human. Because a lot of the other stuff is going to bleed in there and agitate you and make you, like and dislike horrific shit and do damage to yourself. And it's like, dude, draw the line at killing people. How about that? I think you should draw the line let's say you're developing mastery over something. That's when I think you have to unfollow everyone. If you're getting close to entering the basics of your mastery, the basic level. So where you're a white belt, but you're finally actually putting the concepts together and you're like, whoa, I think I'm entering the beginner stage of mastery. If you're in that beautiful sunrise of your life that starts at like what, 27, 28 years old for a lot of people, for very few people on earth, actually, you know, because mastery is a rarer thing than you think. But if you're in that part of your life, then unfollow this garbage. This is all junk, dude. You know, concentrate your time on that mastery thing. And, you know, in the first few months, you'll be like, wait a minute. Why have I been at peace for this many months? You know? And I'm telling you guys to even lock your comments if it means you go further in your work. If you lock your comments and nothing changes, then that's kind of stupid. But if you're actually getting through the material more and less distracted, then bro, keep it like that. And, you know, once you're active, you can go back to being active. But, you know, it's so easy to fall off your own path. It's so easy to get distracted in the world, right? I think the greatest quote in all of human history will always be that distraction is evil, or distraction is the definition of evil. Once you see that, you go, whoa, what the fuck? It is. And that's why that's why I delete all of my content from years ago if I see it, because I'm worried it'll confuse a young guy. Because if it's written better every year in 2022, 23, 24, and it's just getting sharper and it's, you know, you want the best version of that, right? And a lot of people are like, well, why waste your time deleting it? And so I genuinely believe that if you help someone, there's nothing else to do on earth. There's nothing else to do. I guess maybe if you're 21, you can't help people. That's a different story. But I'm saying if you're less than top 1% male and you're not helping people, that's crazy. Like, what are you going to do with your whole life? Is how do you even go to the next level in your soul? That's not even being 1% of a saint. When you think of what saints achieve, like you got to achieve at least 1% of what a saint achieves, right? And you look at people who change the world, they'll achieve maybe 5% with a new technology that saves, you know, gets paraplegics to walk or whatever. And, you know, like you should be thinking of it like that all of the trajectory of mankind should be pointed towards the saints in history. And I don't mean just saints, sages, I mean mystics, I mean everyone who was known for their moral character. You should be looking that way. You shouldn't be looking at the guy who has the bitches and the money and the Dan Bilzerian and the blah, blah, blah. Hell no. Hell no. Like, if you see it in me, you go, oh, well, he did it from the ground up and he did it alone. And he did it banned, and he did it without friends, and that's very different. But if you see someone, their dad gives them 100 million, like there is nothing in his soul that is going to benefit yours. There's no structure. There's no scaffolding. There's nothing. Reading his book is not going to affect you. It's useless. And then you see someone who's suffered a lot like Nick, and there's a lot in Nick's soul, his scaffolding, just the way he went through the world and suffered, that even if you're a black guy, you can benefit from that, right? If you're a black guy and you got inspired to wear a suit and tie from Nick, he's already helped you tremendously. Or if you want more order in your life, which a lot of people don't realize, that not only are you scattered into pieces your whole life, but the whole point of life is to have enough pieces to play with, which is the chaos, right? Get out there, you know, make it happen. And then putting the pieces in order. That's the whole, but your whole incarnation should look like Zherka, from chaos to order, not from order to order, which is horrible. Like, look how much chaos was in Nick's incarnation. You want to see these chaotic figures because you go, whoa, that makes a lot of sense. They had a lot of material to work with, right? And then there's more uptight people who go from order to order to order and they never pop off because there's no chaos. And I really teach about inner structure because it calms people down. Like, a lot of people have come up to me, they're like, I don't have a desire anymore to start a shady business, OnlyFans business, whatever the fuck, because of you, Zherka. I don't want to manage girls and stuff. I'm like, why? And then they go, oh, it's because I'm always thinking of the inner structure, not my face, but how my face is actually forming. I'm like, that's a beautiful way to see the world, right? Because then your weeks, months, hell, even your years, you know, they don't look wasted on stupid, random thought forms, passive retardation of, oh, should I do this? You ever see an incarnation locked into their mastery? Like, this is what I'm mastering and that's what it's all about. And it's like, but are you mastering that that thing you chose, are you mastering it because you love it, or are you locked in and cannot do anything else? By the way, if you can't evolve, can't do anything else, how are you ever going to be a huge success? Right? Like, if you want Instagram to pay you, you will always be the poorest man on the internet. As a man, if your goal is to have Instagram pay you, you will be the poorest on the internet. As a man, you want to, best case scenario, you have Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok. That is like the trinity of money for entertainment or whatever. And a lot of people say streaming. It's not. I don't want to shit on streamers that I know, but if I told you guys how much I know everything of the inside stuff, if I told you how much streamers actually make, you'd say it's a lot of money. But if I told you how much influencers make in total, like I'm talking about the YouTube, the vloggers, if you saw the back end of YouTube or even some smaller podcasts, you would say, oh, wow, streamers don't make that much. Besides Aiden and Neon, I'm telling you right now, like they get the most marketing but I'll just say it like this, they get shafted hard and they're still 30 times X, 50 times X, sometimes even 100 times X what the best Instagram fitness guy is making. So when you enter the world of social media, you're like, I'm going to get my life started. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. The first thing you have to know is, wait a minute. If I sink my toes into this bucket, there's no money there ever. But I need money to travel, to go to these places, to do my, what I came on earth to do. Yeah, life requires energy. It requires money. And it's like, now, if you're a girl, you could never say that to a girl because I think girls do good on Instagram. I don't know how. I've met a lot of hot Instagram girls and they look like they have money. They fooled me, right? And I've met, some, famous OnlyFans chicks who like live broke. It made no sense to me. I guess no money management skills. But man, is there anything worse than like mastering something for 5 years and realizing, obviously mastery pays no matter what field you're in eventually, but it will brutalize you to realize, oh shit, I'm a man in the Instagram market as a fitness guy. And you know what? Maybe, and the worst part is I've seen this happen to a lot of guys, especially from my city. They'd be like, Zherka, now that I'm at the top of Instagram, I'm competing at a physique show and I'm doing this. I have a problem though. I'm like, what's the problem, bro? And they're like, well, to win this show, I gotta be on pharmaceutical, best types of, your level of growth hormone. And I'm like, okay, how much does that cost a year? And they'd be like, well, 20, 35,000 a year to get started. But to win, I need like $50,000 worth of everything in total, not just the growth. And I'm like, okay, so just do that. And they'd be like, dude, I'm broke. I have nothing. My savings. I got 1 million followers and blah, 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 blah. And I paid for this Mercedes. And I'm like, wait a minute. To continue to progress in your evolution, your incarnation, you need money or else you can't go to the next level. Why don't you just work out harder? And they're like, well, that's not how it works. And you don't have that much time because you're getting older and your body's not going to take all the drugs forever. It's going to reject it eventually. And so I'm like, oh, wow, look at that. There is a time in your life where it says you need money to keep going, but not a little more, not a lot more, a shit ton more, right? It's same for like the YouTube vlogger channels. They come up to me, they're like, yo, Zerk, I have this many followers. I'm beating you. I'm this, but I'm broke and I have to travel to India to do a vlog. And how do you make money? And I'm like, dude, to go to the next level in your vlogging, it's not just about going in debt and shit. It's like, dude, I'm telling you guys right now, when you're entering your field, you're becoming a winner and all that, there are going to be money blocks, huge money blocks. And you're fucked. There is no one on earth who's going to tell you, there's a lot of guys who say, go into your credit card, bro, and stuff like that. But it's like, dude, when you enter a market, make sure it pays. Okay. There's like a lot of people are like, well, what if I love doing this? It's like, no, 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 no. If you love doing it, that means you love going all the way. If it requires money to go all the way, you have to fix that too. And by the way, that's the hard part of life. Because the passion doesn't pay for years until it does. And then, you're in this weird place where you were right. Your intuition was correct, but you want to go to the next gate and you're kind of, and that's why the fitness industry died off, right? No one gives a fuck about the fitness guys anymore, right? Then there's the other side where it's like the streaming side where how much are these guys spending to be relevant? It's, I don't want to insult people, but man, it is brutal to stay relevant in streaming. I didn't even know that's a thing. When I had my turn, it was like, I had no idea you pay for marketing and stuff. I thought people put you on because you're fucking hilarious and the world fucks with you and shit. And they're like, no, Zherka, that's just you. You're going hard. And I'm like, what? To keep it going? Because, your content can't always be fire. It has to get a little stale and boring. Sometimes it just, like, think of early Aiden versus late Aiden. Like, for the last couple of years, it's been boring as fuck. And, that happens, right? And you have to pay money to stay on top of it. That always bothered me because it's like, all right, yeah, sure, if you're rich, you can do that. But you gotta feel like a schmuck doing that, where you gotta feel like the biggest faggot to pay for people liking your shit. Right? Forget, I'm just talking about you when you're alone with the mirror. That's gotta be the worst feeling in the universe. Right? It's like, yo, keep me relevant. Clippers, keep me relevant. And it's like, I'll give you 20,000 a month. And it's like, but you didn't start off like this. You did it organically. I don't know. There's something about going from organic. It's like, just watch your views go down. It's not a big deal. Like, and you're still organic. But, yeah, you can always see they lose a lot of inner confidence. They lose that light in their eye, but they're paying a shit ton for their marketing. And it's like, it's this weird space where our influencers going to take over Hollywood. They're already doing it. And it's like, they're paying for it, dude. At least the Hollywood guys, as gay and liberal as they are, at least these motherfuckers can act. They have a mastery over. Imagine Zherka defending Hollywood. This is like the first time in my life I'll be talking like this about these fucking haters, and a bunch of them are like queers to us. But these guys can act. Like Timothy Chalamet, the Jewish kid, you can make fun of him all day. He's a high level actor with a mastery in his field. Like, of course he deserves that big fat contract. You have mastery over nothing, right? You think Neon has a mastery over anything? I think Neon had a mastery over entertainment when he was insulting everyone to their face. But when he realized he couldn't do that anymore, it just became like, I don't know, what do you call this? Like a watered down Neon, looking for love Neon, buying women shit Neon. And it's like, you'll always see an increase in money. Like, oh, he made millions of dollars when they lose that, like, light in their eye. Have you noticed that? Like, oh, he made $1 million, and then they're never the same. And it's like, dude, you don't even laugh the same way. Everything's different about you. And it's not an aging evolution thing. It's like you're a faggot. You went the other way kind of thing. And so I guess that's like the most brutal part of life is like when you realize if you love the thing you're doing a lot, you'll do it for free. And I've done that. Everyone's done that, right? And your niche becomes the biggest thing on earth. But you also have to think of the money component that life is expensive, especially when you want your footprint on earth, where the digital footprint, you want to see it in your next incarnation, 500,000 years from now, you want to Google yourself with like the newest type of internet softwares, which won't even be, hopefully you'd be developed enough to meditate back into your memories by then. But if you can't, you go down the internet, you go, oh, that was my last incarnation. That guy was Zherka. Holy shit, was he? You know what I mean? That is a great feeling to have, and it strengthens soul continuity. But man, when these guys fucking DM me, they're like, besides the Minecrafters are the only ones who never talk about money because it would be like them shitting on everyone. Like when they DM me, they're pretty much DMing me like I shit on all of you. Like, no, they're not cocky. They're more introverted like that. But I found that so weird. It's like everyone I've talked to in this industry, they'll be 21 years old and they don't think of the money part. And I didn't even touch the internet till the internet found me. And then when I saw how much money there is on the internet and how much money is energy, right? You can really, by the way, if someone's ever giving you something for free, they're evil. Free means evil. Okay. Right. Look at Dr. Robert Gilbert's programs. They're really expensive. And he's next to saint level kindness. He would never harm a fly, right? But I'm telling you right now, like, it costs energy in the world to get more energy. Like, that's how it works. And it's like when you buy a software program, right? You buy the expensive one, you're kind of happy with it. You buy shitty shoes and they got holes in them and shit. Not saying you guys should get ripped off and stuff, but I'm saying the world gets hella expensive, not for your lifestyle. And lifestyles are never expensive. Most people can just live their broke nigga life. I'm talking about going to the next level and stuff. Even the streamers, like they're so watered down, they have to pay 20, 30,000 a month to stay relevant. And obviously it's a good business strategy, but all these kind of breaking even business strategies, when you look at how much they're making, you're like, okay, you're like a corporate lawyer. That's your salary a year. But if you didn't have these limitations, you'd be rich as fuck. But you're pretty much a corporate lawyer with all these. You have to pay this, you have to pay rent, you have to pay streamer house, you have to pay. When you look at everything, you go, what the fuck? I'm getting ripped the fuck off in every direction doing this shit. That's why you don't see too many streamers. And I don't know why Larry's in the game, right? It's very strange. And streaming doesn't even make sense. Like if you look at Dean and he was just in jail for a girl and stuff, that's how it always goes. Like streaming always ends up to someone in jail or dead because you see the views and you're like, oh, this gets way more views. And you don't realize till you're doing it that oh wow, dude, one time Mike and I got into a big fucking bar fight with a couple guys in LA with Mindy, Megan, and some of the girls and stuff like that. And the guys pull out knives on us. And Mike and I look at each other like, man, we're taking this too far. But our cameraman says 12,000. We went from 2,000 to 12,000 views. No bot. Obviously, because he's getting fucking hectic in LA. And Mike and I looked at each other like, okay, let's go milk this. And we kept the beef going as they're fucking or one of them's holding a knife. And we kept it going because we saw the viewer count. And then I think it was years later, I was like, Mike, that has to be the least free we've ever been. Like you know what I mean? Freedom means, this is stupid. This is definitely stupid what we're doing. But to be unfree means you look at the viewer count, you go, you know what? Fuck it. It's worth it. Even if we get poked up a bit, it's worth it. And then, years later, you go, whoa, that comes from, even though you had made it at that time, you had made it in a way where you're still desperate. I consider that desperate. When you think of your family and friends seeing that, they're like, dude, it's just 12,000 viewers. But to go 2,000 to 12,000 is huge, man. It is fucking huge in like an hour. A lot of you guys are going to be convinced to have kids around 30 and it's not the move. Maybe 20 years ago, 30 years ago, but right now, economically, I think your baby could starve to death, bro. Like, I think that's what's going to happen to you. Like, when I warn you guys about that kind of lifestyle, I'm really telling you that everything Andrew Tate's saying is not actually going to increase the population at all. Telling people to have kids isn't going to make them have kids at all. A lot of people think that's how promotion works. It's like direct and stuff, but you have to look at the soul needs of who's incarnated, what does the unconscious masses really need? And look, man, in my perfect society, you'd have to have mastery to have kids. I don't mean just like beginner mastery of like a 30-year-old guy. I'm talking about like real mastery. Okay. The whole phenomena of loser dads, dude, if there's more winners on earth, you start winning more. Did you know that's how it works? When you start seeing, if you see 5 jack dudes in Walmart at every aisle, you immediately think of your girl and you go, whoa, what the fuck? There's competition. It's time to hit the gym. And you get pumped and you don't even realize it happened to you. But if you see a Walmart filled with fat asses, you don't give a fuck about working out. So you got to understand that it's like, we don't need more people on earth the way everyone says it. We need winners first. We need winners. We need to change the system. Like, the biggest pandemic on earth right now is being a loser. I had so many of my buddies' moms talk to their kids like, honey, everything will be okay. And their mom would never call them a loser or anything. Not that my mom did that, but my mom certainly focused on telling me she doesn't like losers. And I'd be like, really, Mom? She's like, yeah, I don't like losers. And even my dad, he'd be like, look at that guy. He's a loser, right? There's some guy shooting heroin. And you grow up and you go, yeah, that is a loser. That guy will kill you with a knife, by the way. Not that you shouldn't buy him a sandwich, and you should. But also, like, don't get stabbed by a fucking demonically charged, that's a lot of demon forces with that heroin. And it's like, yeah, when you start seeing the world of winners and losers, not to make a judgment right away, but dude, I'm telling you right now, you can condition yourself to thinking those are just humans. And you think you're becoming like, oh, I'm being like a monk saying this. No, you're not. You're actually conditioning yourself that you're also human. You should become like them. No, dude, this world needs winners. Dude, I'm telling you guys get inspired by one dude popping off on the internet. Some of you guys got inspired by me. Yeah, there's 100 me's in different colors and, one's different, one's about money, one's about this. That's a better world, right? Like a lot of you guys think, oh, having one Ronaldo on earth is good. No, you want like 100 Ronaldos in 100 different sports. You want as much inspiration out into the ether as possible. Because man, it takes so little to change your life. In inspiration, I'm saying. Inspiration goes a long way, right? It takes just a bit of encouragement to help someone out. Just a little tiny bit. But it doesn't exist. 8 billion people on earth and there's no encouragement anywhere. Because a lot of humans, unfortunately, they see through bullshit. When they're depressed, a lot of depressed souls can see through self-help or whatever Andrew Tate's saying, and they go, oh, this is not for me. This is like for some OnlyFans manager. There's a lot of people on earth that can see through it, or maybe they're too depressed to see it, but they can just go like, oh, wow, no one's out encouraging any part of my incarnation. It's like, if there's 8 billion people on earth and zero inspiration, it's all just fake self-help bullshit. Dude, that's a horrific world. And not to change your mind about the world, but it's not something you want to encourage. You want to encourage winning in the world. Winning is, by the way, don't confuse it. Every spiritual master becomes a winner. They become the biggest winner out of all of them. I'm not just talking about financially, but they get incarnations where there's no money involved. And inwardly, just they know it, they're the biggest winners still. But then they figure out, listen, man, when you figure out how to use that machine, which is your body and mind, let's focus on the mind. When you figure out how to use 1% of it, 1% of it means you're a millionaire, right? Try to go to 10% by the time you're dead. Okay. And 10% doesn't mean you're a billionaire. It means your feeling life expands. Your willing life expands, your athleticism, every other area. Right? If you ever meet a very religious person, they rarely want to convince you with their dying breath. They want to inspire a change in you. They don't want to convince you like it's the last thing they do on earth. That's someone who wants to dominate you, right? I met a dude in Colombia, went to this party with a bunch of gringos, like a bunch of Americans and stuff. There's a bunch of people there. And this girl's giving me attention and stuff like she's bad as fuck and all that. And I'm making jokes like, yo, I'm going to marry her. And then the guys who live in Colombia, the Americans, one of them comes up to me. He's a super nice guy. He's with his girlfriend and stuff. He's like, Zherka, you don't want to marry her. I'm like, what the fuck? He doesn't know when I'm joking and stuff. But anyways, we're partying together and stuff like that. And my heart chakra is blown wide open, right? And he's like, I can't believe how chill you are in person. Like you barely even scream at the top of your lungs. Like you've been smiling for 5 hours straight at this. We were at a 30-hour party in one room. It's fucking awesome, actually. And people come in and out and stuff. And it was like 20 chicks and 5 guys. And he's like, dude, you've been smiling for 5 hours right there. And I was talking to everyone and, being social and stuff. And he's like, I cannot believe how chill you are in person. And I'm like, well, there's no debate. Like there's a party setting. It's not a debate setting, right? He's like, yeah. And then I turned to him and I know I must have scared the shit out of this guy, but I guess he was just blitzed out of his mind. Hi. And he's telling me he's a fan and stuff. And I'm like, bro, I appreciate that. And I just turned to him in the middle of the party and there's like a bunch of babes over and his girl's talking to a girl. And he's like, oh, maybe I convince my girl to bring these people and stuff over after. And like we're getting along. And I turned to him and I'm like, the meaning of life is this. And I point to this really ratchet party with beautiful people, but like they're going hard. And he looked at me like, what the hell? And I'm like, yeah, this is love. Because, it was a party where everyone's getting along. Very rare you see a party like this, It's like you really have to generate strong thought forms to magnetize a party like this. And since I'm the clouded up guy, it was like my job to do that, right? And so I was doing good. But it was also my buddies like Kendall and, Red and all that. And so I turned to him, I'm like, the meaning of life is this, as in, and he looked at me like, oh, is Zherka talking about partying? And I'm like, no, love, right? That I love you and them. And I'm not here to find a way to explain why I love them. I'm here because I reckon something in me recognizes all of you. And I only said that to him and his girlfriend sitting next to him. And I don't think she spoke English, but he looked at me like, whoa, this is the Zherka that's online? Like, is this the hippie Zherka? But he totally understood it. He's like, oh shit, like, Zherka's not an unconscious party guy. Like, he'll sit on the party and he'll deepen his gaze until he loves everyone there, because that's the hardest place to love people, right? That's a very superficial place. And if you can love strangers in a superficial way and recognize their humanity, you're deepening the Christian mystery in your heart. That is what you're on earth to do. It's very easy to try and do that from your bedroom or your family, friends, whatever. But it's extremely hard to do it in a ratchet setting, right? And it affects the whole party once you're good enough. And it gets kind of evil because it makes you a lot more attractive to the chicks too. Because they go, oh shit, he's radiating love from his center. And that is hard thinking. That's what you're on earth to do. It's not just about making the money and your career and your craft and your mastery. It's, you're a threefold soul. You've got to deepen every side of you. Listen to Andrew Tate, Sneeko, and Dan Bilzerian. That does nothing for us, man. We listen to a Christian message from Nick, and that's about it. Who else do I promote? Nobody. What about this guy? None of them. None of them. Like I said, we're brothers in Christ. That's it. Now, if I was anyone else on earth, I would promote other things, but it's a Zherka incarnation. So by the time I'm dead, I'm only going to promote the Christ that is within, that has to be born within you. And you have to focus on your life going this way. You cannot be mixing it up with online Islam and blah, blah, blah. I'm telling you right now, there's a reason you're around me in the first place. It's because of stuff like this. It might be the funny stuff, but the important stuff is stuff like this. The funny stuff is not going to last, by the way. I can make you guys laugh for thousands of years. It's not going to last. This stuff is what matters most. And I'm not telling you as a fundamentalist Christian, right? I'm not telling you that other people go to hell or I don't believe in any of that, right? If you grew up on an island, spearfishing, praying to fish gods, yeah, you're a good person. You'll do good. That is a traditional Catholic thought too. But I'm not here to talk about any of that. I'm saying let's focus on the basics in the hardest places. Can you love people in a place where there is no love? It's just lust. Strengthen it there. Obviously, it's impossible in the beginning. Obviously, it feels impossible for a few months. Some of you guys, a few years. But you will find cracks and moments where it's possible. And then the game begins. Right? That's when you go to parties and you gain something from the party. You don't just lose yourself and get scattered. You say, I've done 5 days in a row of 8 hours a day thinking. I'm concentrated. I'm ready. I don't want to go to that party, Zherka. No, you have to go. And then you're a loving person at that party and you go, whoa, I just learned something staring at this one person at the party. And I really try to deepen my gaze, like Zherka said, and I'm learning something that I don't want to share with the world. But the guys who have already done this kind of hard thinking, they know. The guys listening right now, they go, I know exactly what Zherka's talking about, but don't say it out loud. And when you get that feeling of, I know what he's talking about, it came into my memory for a bit. I self-remembered. I knew it for 5 minutes and then it kind of faded. And if you know what I'm talking about right now, well, I don't have to convince you of anything. You know you're not supposed to talk about it because it's not something that can be in words. And you should want to develop that. You should want to in the hardest places where there's the most friction, like you argue with your brother and you feel that heat and you go, you know what? It's not skillful for me. I'm already going to have enemies in the world. I'm not starting with making an enemy out of my brother. I am going to lead this conversation with clarity and love because love is above opinion. And then you look at your brother and you go, I disagree, but maybe you're right. Maybe it is your way. And he will laugh. He will say, what the fuck got into you? Why are you being a fucking soft little faggot? And you're going to be like, cause I love you. And he'll be like, you're a fucking hippie. Get the fuck out of my room. You'll be like, okay. And you leave the room and you go back to your concentration. Your brother goes, he's fucking doing it. He's not even hanging out with me. I just kicked him out and he's still smiling. That's not my brother. He's supposed to be mad and he's bitter and you feel consciousness, lights behind your eyes just activate and you go, holy Zherka, I feel a little euphoric from transcending a reactive response, an angry response. I feel so much intensity behind my eyes. Like I should focus this energy. And it's like, yes. And then sometimes you'll yell back at him and you'll feel really bad about it because you missed your chance to alchemically transmute this energy. You know how many times I want to be reactive to people online, but I save it for the right person? Isn't that beautiful? So you're always winning. You guys disperse your energy on every little thing and everyone who pisses you off. Which, by the way, a lot of you guys have too many friends. Like, if you're always pissed off, like you're not supposed to be externally triggered all the time. That means you have too many weirdos in your life. Okay, there should be certain people, but once you start getting the real message of, dude, from all of Zherka's messages, his hippie message is my favorite. That is the direction, bro. That is even deeper than thinking and concentration. Right? That is deeper than your career. Even though you're going to always thank thinking for taking you to the next level because you see the finances on the screen. You're like, oh shit, I know what I'm doing. But I'm telling you, the next level will always be hard thinking. And you're not supposed to develop one at a time. All of them are going up at the same time. You're here to develop your consciousness soul. I don't go live for this kind of, I don't get paid for this kind of stuff. I get paid for certain things. But when I give you guys a free message on a spaces, I'm telling you, this is the one time you guys should just buckle down and say, after this Twitter space, I'm going to walk in love. And you're supposed to practice love. You can even contemplate it. But love is not what you've been told. It's not these lower forms. There's a lower form that's a lot of fun. It feels infinite sometimes. That's romance. There's a lower form that's called friendship love. That one feels awesome too, amazing, you know, somewhat more rare almost nowadays. And then there's a third one, the love of the game, the craft, the mastery, the concentrated thinking is becoming alive of what you're doing. 3 paths of love, thinking, feeling, and willing, developing. All of them should be going up at the same time. There's nothing else to do with your day. And Sneeko and Dan Bilzerian are not going to lead you anywhere. Okay? If you watch Nick, you're developing thinking, believe it or not. You see that kind of concentration, you go, I want that. You know, he can't even be even when Nick is distracted, he'll make a side point that actually has something to do with what he's talking about, which is mind blowing. How can you make a side point, a reference point, and, you know, like circle it in? That's really impressive. And obviously you're seeing a guy really heavily, you know, he's heavy into his thinking, like, you know, which can leave you a little cold and dry. Be careful with that. But that's why you got me, right? And the name of the game is that eventually when all of these are transformed and in balance, it's going to feel like feeling. It's going to be like the end of the game is going to feel like a mastery of feeling, right? And I know everyone will teach you that they have to be in balance, but the end of the game is going to feel like a Jesus Christ feeling, not emotional intensity, not feeling bad for people because you feel bad for them and you have sympathy, but you feel bad for someone. You go, that's wrong. His life is being cheated by Dan Bilzerian and Sneeko. That's wrong. That's how you should see it. Not, oh, I feel bad for him. He's getting his whole life destroyed and you've totally drowned in your own emotions. None of that shit. That gay shit. I'm talking about being in the middle and you say, no more of these guys. This is a Christian message.
Zherka,
Level of disrespect. Yeah, what's good, bro?
do you think that the Jews and the influence that they have on social media where it's getting so popular, do you think that they want it like that because they want people to think that they have more power than they actually do?
Oh yeah, the theory that they want everyone to hate them, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because there's more than one super like family in the world and power. I don't think the Jews have it all.
Yeah, well, I go both ways because yes, they want people to hate them. They've been doing that strategy for a long, long time, right? It's like you can't even debate this. But on the other hand, I'm not those people that say it's not the Jews. And really, it's not nobody. Every human has to work on themselves, right? You cannot purify someone by telling someone, hey, be pure. You have to purify yourself. And they look at you and they say, whoa, I want that. That's how it actually works. So technically, everyone saying it's the Jews are evil too. Like, don't get it twisted. You know, if a human's pointing at a group of humans, he's doing something evil, right? You should be working morally refining yourself, but also don't let them kill children. And I don't believe it's the Catholics secretly or blah, blah, blah. And I could see so much power, you know, in that direction. But
Hmm.
when we're talking about the murdering of children, yeah, it's clearly the Jews.
Yeah. Do you think that Great Britain is also involved and has a hand in Israel?
100%.
Yep. I agree.
I don't believe that there's Jews that are not British Zionists, actually. I'm not one of those guys. I believe it's British Zionist Jews.
Yep.
And a lot of Americans, it's just where did this all start with? It's British Zionist Jews, right? And I see a lot of subversion with the Catholic Church, so I'm not like Nick there. You know, they accuse me of being a Protestant for this kind of stuff. But when I think of the baby killing part, the most important part, right? And throughout all of human history, this is how you measure it. What the most important part is who is sacrificing to demons, killing babies and all that, right? Because you don't have the impulse to kill just out of vengeance. There's more to it in your auric field and the demons you carry around that, you know, you've generated, you've pretty much made pacts with, right? That's what makes a human bloodthirsty. It's more of a spiritual answer. And yeah, it's clearly the Jews. Like I can say that with, and I'm not saying that like you meet a Jew and he's evil. I don't mean that at all. Like I wouldn't even go as far as, oh, they're all defending each other and stuff, you know, or any of the stuff I used to say that was too intense. I would say, bottom line, if a human being says what's happening in Gaza is correct, there's a heart defect there. There's something wrong with them. And I'm not saying this is like some kind of liberal ass, oh, free Palestine, all that. I'm saying it is like, dude, they're watching dead children and they're saying this is a necessary evil. It's, dude, instinctively, that's not your path, let alone, you know, guided with thinking.
So then what do you think about the Orthodox Church? Do you think that that's the right way or a Catholic?
Yeah, I mean, I don't give the answer like most people do. I'll give you an answer that's kind of going to piss everyone off. And hold on, let me just poke some of this fat, just for my hair, skin, and nails. Just all right, just poke some of this growth. But yeah, I'm gonna give an answer that pisses a lot of people off. It's the truth is you don't want to interrupt the soul from deepening their faith, whether they're Islamic, whether they're Buddhist. Doesn't matter if it's deepening their faith. You don't want to interrupt that process. Which, you know, a lot of people, they'll interrupt like a guy from becoming Muslim, and I don't think that's good. Right? It's better to show them the light your way. But at the end of the day, it's like, it's an inward, you know, spirituality is inward. Religion is outward. Spirituality is inward. If someone's faith is stronger with the Orthodox Church than it is with the Catholic Church, you're not really technically supposed to get in the way of that. Clearly, they're closer to the Christ than you. You talk to a Catholic, they'll be like, no, you just got to be this way or that way. But if you actually talk to the Pope or any priests from the Catholic Church, they'll even tell you some Muslims go to heaven. It depends if they're a good person and stuff, but we're giving the Jesus Christ ticket because it seems like this is this transforms the soul the best way. So I agree with that 100%. But I'll tell you right now, man, I will always recommend you see all of religion and spirituality as something inward. That's good. It has to be inward. Like no one can do it for you. No, the rituals are great and all that, but your whole day is not in a church. Look at your whole day. That's your whole life. You know, you maybe go to church once a week, but I'm telling you right now, refine yourself. Zherka pulling blades on people in 2016 and all this fighting and problems. He should be refined as he gets older. And if you don't see a refinement process in a human, if you don't see this savage behavior, survival behavior of, oh, he pulled a knife on me, I gotta pull a knife on him. Oh, he pulled a gun, I gotta pull a gun. This Zherka 2016 behavior must get refined, whether it's through a liberal lens of Twitch or whatever path I was on. You should see refinement in character over time. And same with Sneeko, same with everyone. And I'll tell you this, man. The one thing that's going to shock everyone on earth is when they die, you are met with the Christ, even if you're a Chinese Buddhist, even if you're a Muslim. Now, it's not going to be the Christ that everyone is convinced, like for example, the Christ looks a little different to Braden, who is a Protestant and he grew up, that's like an American Christ to him. Then brown guys will see, they'll have a different idea in their head. Most human beings, Steiner says, most human beings on earth, when they think of God, they're actually worshiping their higher self or their guardian angel directly linked to them, but it's never actually God. God is something you cannot imagine. And so most humans on earth are trying to convince you of their own little worlds kind of God, and they're shocked when they're in front of what really is God. It's so indescribable, limitless, and it's so vast and massive that it humbles the fuck out of you, where you go, whoa, my conception was really earthly. And an earthly conception is really stupid. So a Catholic, an Orthodox, a Protestant, doesn't matter. If you're on earth, you're going to have an earthly idea of God. You, just like the mystics say, you shouldn't have ideas of God. You should be sitting in a room, feeling love pulsing from your heart because your family's with you. And you go, oh, it's my mother, it's my father, it's my brother, it's my nephew. And you guys are having a barbecue, let's say, and you feel an immense level of love. Like, oh, this is such a good day, few beers and stuff. And as you're feeling that love, you're not supposed to just let it run out. You're supposed to carry it and say, oh, this is the Christ force. This is the nature of God. It's not what I was thinking. It's not what Nick or Protestants. It's that center feeling where you cannot insult someone else because you're really good that day. You're chilling. You can't insult anyone. That is what you should be focusing on. Not for an emotional intensity or anything, but you should be understanding that love should be perceived when you are actually feeling it. That's when you're like, wait a minute, I can point to this and say, oh, this is the nature. Now I understand why God is against swords and killing people, because every human, when they're in a loving moment, is against all that. They're free. Now, when you're killing people, you're under impulse. You're unconscious. There's millions of impulses in the thought world going through you, making you do this, that, blah, blah, blah. But when you are free, you're in love. And you're just in the middle of the universe and you don't want to be anywhere else. Whereas, when you're with a sword, you want to be in other places. You want to conquer other lands. But that inward feeling has nothing to do with going to church and all that. Like, that's something you have to develop on your own. There's no priest, that priest that cheats on his wife, and that guy's not going to help you. There's no one on earth going to help you. You have to work on yourself. It's a refinement process. And that's why I tell people, it's like, listen, man, one day at a time, you want to refine who you are. Zherka should go from more savage to less, more beastly to less every single year until you can barely recognize him, until you can say, this 45-year-old Zherka is very different. But it's not he switched teams different. It's, he's more refined, more mature. He's more cooked. He's more of a diamond. That's what you want to see. This idea that, You go to the priest and he just fixes your problem. Like I'll never buy into that. Am I against, for my, just talking about personality wise, do I like the ortho bros? And no, I don't. I think they're always attacking the Catholics and it's cringe, right? It's really cringe. Do I like let's be real. I fit in the most with the Protestants. Like if we want to really call what Zherka is, I fit in with those guys the most, or like that Americana energy. But why I give it to the Catholics is beauty, man. There's so much beauty there. There's just so much. If you're going to travel the world, and like the greatest part of traveling is not just being a stupid degenerate and partying and all that. The greatest part of traveling is you're sobering up and you have to go to a temple or a church, or you go visit the Catholic churches around the world. It's fucking amazing, dude. Excuse my cursing. It's amazing. And I'm telling you right now, I'm all about the feeling life. I'm all about beauty. And so, anytime someone asks me, what do you think Orthodox? Do you think? No, I'll point people to Catholicism, right? Although I want your lifestyle to look a little more Protestant, orderly like Nick, but a little more freedom based, whereas Nick is more security based. So Nick and I are on completely different trajectories, but with the same God force. And, it's going to look different for everyone, Some people are going to be more into that orderly security type of lifestyle. And some people are only going to see their potential max out of what they want to do on earth when they feel more of a freedom impulse, right? And they're both of them are not, they're both correct. Like with God, you should feel secure and freedom at the same time, which is euphoric. It is, there's nothing better than being free, do whatever you want to do, but doing the right thing because you're free and the rest of the world is angry and unconscious and they're being driven by demons and you're like, no, I will bring them back. That is the greatest feeling in the universe. I'm not even talking about feeling, it's something higher than that. But yeah, it's like at the end of the day, I cannot promote the stuff that I don't believe in. I don't believe that those guys who go to church every week are doing anything. The rituals are strong. It's strengthening their faith. So we like that. But I don't believe those guys who don't work on themselves are doing anything at all. I genuinely believe those guys who go to church to get their problems fixed and then they go home and just, they're doing nothing with their whole life. They're probably like scrolling Twitter or whatever. Yeah, I think those guys are fucked, completely fucked. Because humans are given a lot of time on Earth, a shit ton of time on Earth. And you think, oh, it's not that long because I'm this age. Dude, you can do 2 weeks of work in 2 hours if you put your head to it. A lot of people have discovered this and it's a really depressing thing to discover. It's not a superpower. You see how much of your life you've wasted. And so when you see it as how much, let's say you're staying concentrated every single day for years. Yeah, if a human stayed concentrated every day for 3 years, I think he'd do everything he's trying to do in the next 500 fucking years. So yeah, God gives you a shit ton of time. It's just you're not equating it to concentrated time. Now, I still want people to go to church and do all that. But again, self-mastery has to come before religion. For thousands of years, it's been like this. It's just how it goes. You're not going to ask a teenager to be a good little Christian because they're just going to fap all day. Like that's just how it goes. I think that's why Charlie Kirk was impressive because it didn't, he didn't have like a chaotic phase, I guess. And he ended in the most chaos. Like, he's linked to karmically what happened to him. I'm not saying that he's a bad guy. I'm saying that that's the world he's been engaging in for a long time, not just now. And, all of Charlie's chaos came at the end, not the beginning. I don't like to see that. I don't like to see that at all. I like to see people's chaos come up first. And as they're aging, they refine themselves. I feel like people are in the game a lot longer that way. They get to do more, less tragedy. And, for Charlie, it's all of his edgy behavior in his teenage years. It wasn't expressed, so it came out during his adult years. And, to us, it's not edgy, but to him, it was very edgy what he was saying. And it, garnered a lot of hate against him. Same with the not speaking up for the dead babies in Palestine. Karmically, he's definitely not favored for that. I'm not saying that God's picking. I'm saying he's picking every night he goes to bed. You don't want to, you don't want to speculate on karma ever. You never want to play God, but I'm saying A lot of that chaos came in one bullet at the last second. And that's, how someone dies is not random, bro. It's really not, especially a death like that is not random. And, I think, Charlie's fighting the good fight. He's against the drunkenness and all that, which, it's an uphill battle because the spirit of our times demands more freedom. People want more freedom than they want, their health. So they'll go to drugs, alcohol, that kind of stuff, rock and roll shit, because they think it's pushing them to a conscious state, which it's not, right? It's just giving them a taste of a bit of spirituality, but it's not something you can sustain. So it's very bad if you cannot, self-generate that. And, unfortunately, it's like you have to see the world like this. It's like, do you want a bunch of people to have everything happen to them in their 30s or gradually? And I'd rather kids make mistakes. I think kids making mistakes is cool because adults making mistakes is really brutal to see, dude. When you see adults making mistakes, they kill themselves, I want to see the refinement process go upward, which every human on earth is doing it the other way, right? Like, I got a job, I got a house, and she broke up with me, and I now want to kill myself. And it's like, ooh, dude, all you have to do is go the other way, right? You don't have to sign away half your stuff. And which, by the way, it's not about material. It's more like you're less attractive when you lose half your fucking net worth, you idiot, right? We still want you to be attractive and, have all that. And so a lot of people are convinced their karma is clean until their wife, abandons their ass. It's like, there you go, told you so. It's like these souls that are incarnating right now are not that innocent, bro. We've been telling you guys this, guard your stuff, guard your individuation process, and that's some of that stuff has to happen to you guys. But it's like, again, freedom is number one. Man should like you more when you're a free soul, right? Some of you guys just obsessed with insecurity, or excuse me, security. And it's so strange to me because it's like, dude, she's getting blacked by the freedom guy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's don't deny your nature. If you're here for freedom, show it, do it, live it. Don't destroy yourself. Don't suppress it until it comes in other ways. And know who you are. Like I don't follow channels that can destroy me. Right? I know Dan Bilzerian. I follow him. He's a fucking idiot, bro. He's literally a fucking idiot who did nothing with his life. He got money from his dad. I shit you not, Google that. All right? That's doing nothing for me. To me, that's like goy slop entertainment. Okay? I don't even think he's standing up for anything. And I'm telling you right now, man, I'm never gonna be the guy who tells you this church, that church. Because let's be honest, you're at the church once a week if you're lucky, bro. But you're with yourself every day, right? And you're fucking up every day. Right? Don't waste your time, right? Don't think your priest has the answer. I'm not Nick who's going to tell you the priest is, and I don't even think Nick thinks that, right? There's no way he does where, even priests they fall all the time, right? So it's like, clearly all of spirituality is you versus you. That's all it is. Everything external is cope. If it doesn't feed your individuation process, it's useless to you. That's why I encourage people to have girlfriends early. Heartbreak early is awesome. Let's get through the mistakes, right? I want to see every human that interacts with me. I want to see their 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. Those years, I want them to go exactly like Zherka's, where every year he made a shit ton more money, a shit ton more girls, but the heartbreak is already dealt with. Everything is done, as much as it could be done. And it's a refinement process upward where you laugh more and more and more. That's what I want to see. All of my friends, everyone I know, everyone in the industry, it's the other way around. It's, they turn 30 and the girl leaves them and they get destroyed and they listen to my spaces and they go, why are you so amped up on life? And it's like, I'm not, bro. I'm not amped up on life. You are just a depressing fucking little bitch. That's who you are. I'm not amped up on life. I'm just strategic. I'm strategic with when to make mistakes. Okay. Sometimes I open myself up for more mistakes. I even tell my buddies, I'm like, yo guys, we're going to go to this party. Let's make some mistakes. They go, why? Why this party? I go, well, there's this certain person we are supposed to meet, but we can't get close to them for this business opportunity unless we make mistakes with them. And they go, oh, interesting. Oh, I pick and choose, right? Imagine you study every single philosopher, and usually you get caught up with one or two and get obsessed, but imagine you studied
Yeah.
every single philosopher. At one point, after, if you're like me, at one point you go, why are they all talking about scripture? Even the atheists, they all pick a story from scripture to explain a thought process. And at one point you're like, wait a minute, there's more atheist philosophers talking about scripture than even Christian ones. You get shocked. You're like, why are they all talking about scripture? Why is it so important? Oh, that's because where history started, but not really. Look at recorded history. And then you realize, oh, this is, the mystery of Golgotha is the center of the timeline. Like this is the deepest, darkest part of the timeline that we get saved. Oh, this is what it is. And then you go from philosophy to theology. And if you're smart, you keep those two. You don't go to just one. If you just go to religion, you become an idiot. You have to keep both. What maximizes your faith is key, because faith is the only thing you get to keep when, one of the many things you get to keep when you die, but the important things, it's a transformative force. And it has to be obviously linked to truth. It cannot be like a lot of people are like, well, Zherka, if this theory is of this esoteric theory of yours is correct, then couldn't you use Star Wars? And it's like, yes
You
and no.
could.
No, no. The answer is yes and no, because when you say you love Dragon Ball, when you say you love Star Wars, what you're effectively saying is you are using your love on earth to exist, watching that. You become absorbed with it. You read Swedenborg's writings, which might make things sound a little more Protestant right now, but it's the evolution of Christianity we're looking at. You look at
Hmm.
Swedenborg's writings and he'll say, that is you paying homage to the Christ. If you love Sonic the Hedgehog, you can only love because of the Christ. The word love means you're linked with the Christ, with the things you love, right? Which is not with harming people, right? A lot of people confuse that. But yeah, so a lot of people are like, dude, I love boxing. And it's like, yeah, you're generating your love force, your Christ force for boxing. So you're still thanking the Christ when you love boxing. A lot of people don't realize that. And people get really afraid when I say that because they go, does that mean everything in my life that I love is like in a weird way, it's like a softer prayer? And it's like, yeah, it is. Dude, everything you love, I'm telling you, the stuff you love since you were a kid is all linked. You incarnated for it. That's what I want to do this. Your childish, primitive soul said, even though it's ancient, it's still primitive, it's still growing. And you said, I want to do this. And God's like, okay, go do it. That's why I tell people, go play your basketball. You love basketball, bro. A lot of guys who come up, I used to play basketball every day. Go play more. Everyone who hires me for a consultation, they're like, well, he's making me do what I love. And it's like, fuck yeah, I am. That's going to get you to the best thought forms, you idiot. I think the most mind blowing esoteric theological theory, it is a theory for people because they can't grasp this, is it's so weird how you incarnate thinking God hates everything I'm doing and everything I want to do is away from God. This feels like sin and stuff. And later you realize what you really want to do and you get shocked that you go, whoa, I only incarnated to do this thing because God said, go do it. You want to do it? Go do it. You come in here to do it. You suppress yourself from doing it. And when you're finally doing it, you're like, wait a minute. He knew better than me. And it was actually what I wanted to do all along. I was just confused. And it's like, yeah, he's in a higher plane infinitely higher plane of existence than you. Obviously he knows, but a lot of people confuse this with, they've become really dry. Like, for example, I think what Sam Frank has done, where she goes to scripture, but she becomes like this repressed human being. That is
Yeah.
not good. She hasn't smiled in like years. That is not good what she's doing. She has like this, she's building up a shadow, bro. Like there's a lot of these girls who leave the OnlyFans life and then they spend a couple of years just confused and all that. And it's like, bro, you're not going to make as much money as on OF. Like just accept it. Stop crying about it on stream. Right? If you're crying about it, it means you haven't, that's not the correct way to repent. The craziest thing about the correct way to repent is you stop thinking about it, which I always thought repenting meant you keep thinking about it and feel bad about it. That's not what it means. It means you're done with that. It's off. It's deleted off you. It's over. And that to me is the most mind-blowing thing that everything in scripture you think you know is the opposite. You think repentance means thinking about it, talking about it with your therapist and your priest, and it doesn't mean any of that. It means you change your inner structure and you're done with that. You look at these high-level Christians that do everything they want to do with their lives, they don't come from a guilty place ever. The guys who win, they'll smile at you, look in your eyes, and they go, "Oh yeah, I used to party like that. I used to do heroin." And it's over in their head. They're never going back to heroin, and it's like, whoa. But then you meet some other Christians, and they're always talking about it. They're like, "I used to do heroin." They're reliving it in their head. Yeah, I would never say the words not react to pain. It's more transform the pain, gradually work with it, mold it, listen to it, feel it, but then eventually let go and transform into something think of it like it's just electricity burning you from every side, and then you just hold it with your hands and it turns to a ball of fire, and now you can control that torch, that flame. Always see it with the imagery I give you. If you see it with any repression imagery, you will repress your anger. It's very dangerous. Extreme. That's how people kill other people too, right? You don't want to do that. You don't want to damage the scaffolding, or, you guys think you're done. You're constantly inwardly shifting and changing like the weather. So make sure you have the right imagery. The imagery is you transform things. You don't repress. You don't block. You don't hide. You don't look at the highest level saint who can literally repress because he's at the highest level of consciousness. It's his turn, right? It's his turn to say no to everything. But I'm telling you right now, man, heartbreak is is the butter to life. And a lot of people listen to me, they're like, "Man, you sound fine with your heartbreak because you're at an older age, so you're over it and stuff." You don't get over it. I don't think there's one human on earth that gets over heartbreak. I don't think that's how it works. I don't think, when you heal that the scar is gone. I'm not those people who say I'm changed. None of that. I'm just saying you have to focus on think of your trajectory without heartbreak. Like a lot of young guys are like, "Oh, I'm doing everything right. Why do you want me to have a girlfriend?" I'm like, "So you can pop the fuck off. You think you're going to do it without a woman soul? It rarely ever happens, bro. People get cracked and they never talk about getting cracked. They hide it, which is funny because it's like, isn't that the most relatable thing? We should talk about stuff like that. But the most successful people, all successful, they get cracked hard and they never talk about it because it's too hard to talk about and all that gay shit. And to me, that's like the worst thing because there's a lot of people who have never listened to Zherka and they're convinced some humans just don't get cracked. But if you look at it, you look into it, all of them get cracked. The guys with the most money got cracked the hardest. It's always an energy difference. And the guys who look like they never got cracked the hardest, bro. Because they went unconscious. That's why their face doesn't change. Bro, I'm telling you, when I force my guys to go get chicks and get into relationships, a lot of people think it's like a player phase. It's not a player phase. It's so you can go get cracked. When you get cracked by heartbreak, you could be like most people and you become a loser for life. It was the worst gamble ever. Or you can pop the fuck off. And I only talk to the people who eventually pop off. I don't care about the fucking losers. What the hell? You like, if I told you every human gets cracked, why are you afraid of getting cracked? And if I told you you're the only one that's not going to get cracked, don't you feel like you're missing out? Because I'll tell you this, if you're the only person in billions of people who don't get cracked, you're always going to wonder, well, what did they get that I didn't? Well, at least I avoided the pain, but why does that hurt? Why does that hurt me to admit that? I want to be like everyone else. I want to be, actually, you know what? I'm going to avoid that. No, I want to get cracked too. Clearly the video game is built like this. And it's like, and it's so funny because a lot of people think God designed the game that everyone has to get heartbroken and cracked. No, you cracked someone. So now you're getting balanced out. It was, you started it. By you, I mean all 8 billion people on earth. You can't go an incarnation without cracking someone else. It's impossible, right? You're going to step on toes. You're going to hurt people's feelings and all that. And you're going to keep getting desensitized until you hurt more people. And then you're going to find one person to hurt and then you're going to crack them. And in the next incarnation, which is probably now, right? And they're going to find you, and unconsciously they're going to do something to you. I don't know why I did that. I just had to cheat on it. And they crack you, and you feel everything they felt. And, you're not going to join the realm of angels. You're not going to go to God cracking his children. He does not. If you're thinking of eternal love, you cannot step on some other soul. You can't step on God's children. You can't even join that side until you're perfectly purified. And obviously it feels like a long kind of game to a lot of people, but this is the most merciful kind of game that you slowly, easily learn your lesson. If you keep cracking people over and over again, you wake up in a World War II incarnation where you're like fucking getting your arm blown off and shit because you hurt people, you cut people's arms off in the past. And if you don't believe that you're that wicked, dude, one charismatic streamer can get you guys to say kill yourself to another person, right? And you think of what thinking actually is. Like, when not just KYS as a joke, but you guys actually tell people to kill themselves when your Christian streamer is angry. Like, think of how demonic you are, and you're in, the more calm part of history. You're not in the Roman feeding people to lions part of history, but it's still in you. That shadow is still there. So when you think of that, you go, dude, yeah, I'm not pure enough for higher worlds at all. And it's like, no, you're not. You're disgusting, actually. Right? And, you have to wake into higher consciousness. You have to realize that. Like, 8 billion people on earth have to realize they are pieces of shit and sometimes heroes. It's both. But most of the time, it's really a piece of shit. And, keep gradually washing yourself. Keep going upward, right? That doesn't mean what you think it means. That just means let's really focus on why the fuck there's so much heartbreak on earth. It's clearly it's equilibrium. It's balancing you out. And for me, it always looks different because for me, it means popping the fuck off, popping up so hard. And I never understood that because I popped off one time with heartbreak, second time with heartbreak, third time, and each time was bigger than the last. And I was like, dude, there is something to this. And then when I self-remember the last couple of years, which is a lot of things, I was like, oh shit. I have to encourage the youth to get, it's going to happen to them, and I think you should hammer into it like the Hulk. And if I had someone telling me that at a young age, it would have been so badass, And there's a euphoric feeling to that level of suffering once it's all transmuted, once your thinking life gets you the career you want, your feeling life has the beauty around you, and your willing means you always got a plane ticket for another adventure that's dangerous. I think that's when you're like, entering Zherka levels of, I don't call it euphoric or happiness. I don't have that. I think other people have that. I think family men have that. I feel a lot of incarnations have that, and it comes and goes like waves. But I have something more eternal where it's not earthly. It's not of this world.
Peace.
It transcends it. And I wouldn't even call it peace. I would call it like this inner courage that it comes with a lot of problems and chaos, but it's like, I know every single month of my life, I take another step forward. Every single year, my dreams get more vivid. They make more sense, stronger narrative. And there's deeper self-remembering happening where I'm telling you right now, I never thought you could get cocky with this stuff. And then you look into the masters and they tell you the number one thing is the ego inflation, like be careful that because most people think they're masters. The ego inflates too much. And that's the most dangerous thing that could happen. If it happens in the workplace, it's bad. If it happens in earthly matters or instinctual matters, but if it happens with spirituality, you are fucked. And I swear my ego it's so swole, bro. It's so inflated. And it's so inflated that I look at 8 billion people on earth and I go, they're all liars. They're all, and a lot of people be like, well, no, he's talking about engineering. I'm like, how's that important? Well, it's engineering. How's that important for any other lives? And how do we maximize that here? Most people are not engineers. This shit's fucking useless. You get really cocky about that stuff. You don't realize the world's in pockets as well. People have their niches and shit. But man, I'm telling you right now, dude, 8 hours a day, I have blitzkrieg concentration. Like these last couple of years have been really alive, man. I don't want to be on this call with you guys. I'm fucking skirt. I
How are
got
you
it.
right now, by the way? What country?
Dude, if I told you guys the country, you guys would all call me a traitor right now. I'm in Israel.